This is how I talk myself into purchases sometimes. Like, oh, it's on sale. Like, I better take this opportunity. You know what I mean?
The money I see in my bank account, like that's real money. But if I have money in my wallet, that's not real money to me. Like,
you're not seeing the different people that are hurt by this path of destruction.
Dude, there's so many areas for things to fall between the cracks where if you're not really paying attention to those, the struggle becomes so much harder.
I'd love to see your bank statement just to see like where your money's actually going.
You're just chasing that high that you're never going to get it again.
Welcome to Just Another Money podcast with your hosts, Lauren and Nick. We're here to take real-world money situations and break them down into actionable steps you can actually use.
Whether you're budgeting, paying off debt, or saving for your future, we're all about making finances easy to understand and putting you in control of your money. Welcome back to the show, everyone. Today, we're talking through some of the hottest takes in personal finance that we could find online. From crazy side hustles to being frugal to the extreme, we're diving into some of the wildest things we've heard about personal finance. But before we get into that, Lauren and I did want to share a question that was submitted to the show by a viewer. And just as a quick reminder, if you want to have your questions answered live on the show, you can go directly to our website, justanothermoneypodcast.com, and click the submit a question button. Or if you're a subscriber to our newsletter, you can just reply directly to any of those emails and that question will go straight to us. But Lauren, do you want to jump into the question for today?
Yep, absolutely. So this one says, where do I go from here? I'm 28 years old and finally settling into a career. Since graduating college, I've worked random jobs just to make ends meet. Luckily, I finally landed a job in a field I went to school for, and it seems I could make a real career here. My parents keep telling me I should focus on paying off the rest of my student loans so I can be debt-free and have a clean slate. What they don't know is that I racked up quite a bit of credit card debt since graduating just to help pay for the basics. I feel like I should focus on getting the credit cards paid off before anything else, but their constant check-ins about my student loans keep adding to the stress. They've always been extremely against credit cards, and the thought of telling them about my situation just feels overwhelming to say the least. Where do I go from here? I feel guilty lying to them about my debt, but every time they ask, I just avoid the question.
Yeah, that's a tough situation because if your parents aren't aware of your full situation and then they're constantly checking in about what they think is the issue, which is the student loans, but really you're kind of just hiding the credit cards from them. It's tough to approach that. But, you know, we've said this before on the show and I'll say it again, but no one else really gets a vote in how you run your finances unless you're married to that person, you know, and your parents, you know, while you obviously should respect them and I'm sure they probably just want what's best for you, at the end of the day, like they don't get to run your finances for you because you're the one who has to live with it. But, you know, I think it would probably be worthwhile to at least let them know about the situation because the only other option is to continue kind of holding up this lie and dodging the question. And, you know, this person didn't really talk about how much credit card debt they're in, but, you know, they could be looking at a year, 2 years for this journey to pay off their credit card debt and maintaining that lie while they're going through that, I think is just going to add so much more stress. And I think if you can get through that tough conversation or even just that awkward period of telling them the truth, and you don't even have to tell them the full truth, just say, hey, this is kind of the situation I'm in and this is going to be the focus from here on out. Like it would be really awesome if you could just support me in that. You know, I think that's where they should start. But what do you think?
Yeah. And I'm also wondering if this person like lives at home, because that could be another reason why the parents are just kind of like, okay, like you should, now you have a job, like maybe pay off your student loans and then you can be debt free, you know? So I'm also wondering that, and maybe that's also why they feel like they can have a say in this person's financial situation. But yeah, so like you said, like for me, like, I mean, you don't have to tell your parents whatever you don't want to tell them, right? But if you want to have the open relationship with them, like maybe just be honest with them and say, hey, like I'm starting this career. I'm on a really good track, but there are some things that I need to clean up other than my student loans from the last few years, and just be honest with them about it. I mean, I think that, you know, owning that situation is going to gain their respect, hopefully. And then you say, I'm going to work on those credit cards and then I'm going to focus on my student loans. And then, you know, maybe just kind of distance yourself from that situation of them constantly checking in on you with this. But yeah, for this person, you know, I'm personally going to work on my credit cards, not just my student loans, because my parents want me to do that, right? I'm going to work on the credit cards because we know that those have such high interest rates, and then maybe focus on the student loans moving forward. However, we don't know how much in student loans. We don't know the interest rates and all that stuff. But yeah, just my initial thoughts on that.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, if we were to put this person through the financial roadmap, right, like getting clear on everything, it sounds like they, just from the stress of it, it sounds like they know their full situation. And then from there, you know, can they save up a couple $1,000s, right? Like enough to just get through a 1 month. And then I would really focus on getting those credit cards wiped out first. And yeah, like you said, regardless of how you if you tell your parents or how you tell them, like, you got to do what's best for you. And at the end of the day, if your parents can't support that, you know, that's on them. Right. And it sucks it sucks to kind of put yourself in this position where your relationship with them is dependent on how they react to what you tell them. But you know, you are the only one who has a say in your finances. And so you got to take the best route forward. And I think like this person said, like focusing on the credit cards is definitely the right option. But I also think like, you know, coming clean to your parents and just being upfront about it and letting them have the reaction that they want to have. You know, if a lot of times, like, especially because this person wrote like their parents are extremely against credit cards. And I'm sure this person, at least to a certain extent, is building up the conversation in their head and thinking of all the ways that it could go wrong and not imagining any of the ways that it could go better than they expected, you know? But at the end of the day, you know, your parents are going to have the reaction they want. And the hope would be that, you know, after a couple of weeks or even after a couple of months, they'll get over it, right? And they'll see that you're working hard, that you're following some sort of plan. And I think that, to me, if you know, I was a parent to this kid, that would be the thing that I would be looking for more is like, are you doing what's best for you, not just what I think is best for you? Yeah,
definitely. And you know, this person said that they just landed a job in their career or their field that they studied, you know? So it's like, they probably don't want to be in this credit card debt either. They probably were raised that way and don't feel great about the situation, obviously. So I think that's something to say too. Like, you know, this person, go easy on themselves because they're also trying to do better moving forward. And I'm sure that they want to focus on their student loans, but they just need to pay off these credit cards first. So yeah.
Yeah. And it makes me wonder, like, what was the degree in, or like, what was that path if they went from like graduating probably in their early 20s to like taking like 6 or 7 years to kind of finally get into that career. But yeah, no, I think this person kind of knows what they need to do, whether or not they tell their parents. But why don't we move on to what we have for today?
Yeah, let's do it.
And fair warning, today's episode is going to be a little different from our usual ones. We found a bunch of videos online that we're going to be giving our reactions to. So why don't we jump into the first one?
I'm going to be explaining girl math to you.
Okay.
So if I pay with cash, it's free.
What?
Because it's already left our bank account.
Oh my God.
So it's free.
Really?
Yes.
Huh. All right.
Or if I have like cash that I just have
Uh-huh.
that never went into our bank account or I've had in my purse and I use it, it's free.
How about you take that cash and put it back in our bank?
But then I wouldn't be able to buy things for free.
Oh, okay. For free.
Okay.
I feel like she's got a point here. Like I feel like in the past, it's always been like money online wasn't real, but real money, like physical money, that was real. And I feel like it's totally swapped, especially in the last like 10 years where like, I know for me, like the money I see in my bank account, like that's real money. But if I have money in my wallet or if like I pull out an old sweater and I find like $20, like that's not real money to me. Like I can go spend it and it doesn't change my budget. Like it doesn't, my bank account doesn't change. Like, I don't know. That one definitely has a point there.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Especially her second point where she said, like, if it's never been in the bank account, like it's definitely free money. Because there's some things I'll pull cash out for, but I'll just like log it in my budget as like money pulled out. But like if I have cash that's like from like, you know, some type of like holiday or something, I'm like, oh, like this has never been in the factor here, like in factored into my budget. So this is golden. So totally see that.
Oh yeah, and when we were moving, we sold a bunch of stuff on Facebook Marketplace, and like most of them were like through like Zelle or Venmo, but like some people gave cash, and I was like, we could just spend this on whatever we want. Like, let's go out to eat tonight. Like, it's free. It doesn't matter. And I don't know, if real money or like physical money doesn't feel like real money to me anymore.
Well, especially when you're selling something that was like you bought so long ago, it's like, oh, that doesn't even matter anymore. Like, oh, here's this cash, you know.
Something is on sale, say buy 3 get 1 free.
Okay.
Or just on sale in general.
Okay.
We are losing money if I don't buy it.
Where's the logic there? Come on.
Listen, if there is a Target deal where you buy 3 items and get a gift card, then I made money on that sale.
Oh my God. Where did you go to school? What is this called? Girl math?
Girl math.
Yeah, I can totally see this one. This is how I talk myself into purchases sometimes. Like, oh, it's on sale. Like, I better take this opportunity. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I feel about this too. Especially the Target gift card, because if you're going to buy those products and get the gift card, like, why not do it? You know, because she's right. She is making money on the deal.
I mean, you're definitely saving yourself money in the future, but I don't know if you're making money off of it. But like, it's almost like it's like one step away from saying, oh, like if I just spend more on my credit card, I get the points. It's like I'm making money, you know?
Yeah, true. But like I said, you have to, if those were items you were already going to purchase, that's the key right there.
If I use my app at Starbucks to buy coffee, then that coffee was free.
Who put the money on the app?
But you don't.
No, who put the money on the app?
But you don't see it come out of the bank account when I buy it.
Oh, you don't see it. I see it. I reveal our financials.
Okay, this one, kind of like the first one, I kind of agree with this. Like if I already have money in like my Starbucks app, it's like I don't have to put it into the budget. And if it doesn't go in the budget, I didn't really spend the money.
Yeah. No, I agree with you too. I don't, honestly, I'm like so old school. I don't really go to Starbucks. I don't really use the Starbucks app. I'm not sure like what that means to have money in there. But we do the same thing with Chipotle. Like we have the Chipotle app that my husband will buy stuff off of with our points, or you know what I mean?
Nice.
So
yeah,
same thing, I assume.
If I return something, then I made money. But if I use the money from the return, then that item was technically free.
Rainbows and lollipops, I'm telling you. You know, you could have so much more money if you didn't girl math all the time.
Okay, this one, like you said, rainbows and lollipops, like if you bought it and you return it, you just got your money back. Like you didn't make money from that.
I feel like it depends on like how long you wait to make the return. Like if it's like a month later and then you're like, oh, like if it's a big return, like I've returned a few things, like maybe a couple $100, and then you're like, wow, look at that credit on my credit card. You know what I mean? So I see it.
That's fair. Like if it's a new budget, like for me, like, yeah, if it's a new budget and money just came back in, okay, you made money doing that. Yep. And if you bought something, then I guess it would be free.
Yep.
If by chance I spend money while I was drunk.
If by chance you spend money, how about for certain you're spending money?
Specifically if I'm wine drunk and I don't remember it, then it was free.
That's every day! That's every day! This is why I'm broke. Get out of here with this.
I love that she's explaining this logic while she has a glass of wine right in front of her. Like,
yeah. Yeah, that one is I don't do that either.
Yeah, that one's a little dangerous.
The only thing I could say, like if I don't really drink that much, but if I was drinking in the past, like food would be something that I would definitely splurge on, but not like items or anything.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. So next we're covering extreme frugality, and we found some crazy videos and crazy Reddit posts that talk about the extremes that people went just to save money.
I wanted to save all my money, so I went on what I call the Great Potato Famine. What I did is I bought a bag of potatoes and I went to McDonald's and grabbed a whole bunch of ketchup. And anytime I couldn't get a free meal or jump into like a buffet that was free or a bar mitzvah or a wedding wearing a good suit, I'd go home and eat potatoes and ketchup. I saved so much money, and my mom's like, "Why? You don't have to sacrifice like that. I'll send you money. You don't have." I said, "I'm not sacrificing. I'm investing in myself."
I feel like that's definitely taking it to the extreme, especially like going to random weddings or bar mitzvahs and like just showing up. You know, you're like a regular wedding crasher and you're like, I'm just here for the free meal, you know?
Yeah, I feel like people do that with hotels sometimes, like the free, or like that continental breakfast that they offer. So
yeah,
I think there's a way to like be frugal with your food. Like if you're, I don't know if the West Coast has them as much, but like Aldi around here, like Aldi is such an affordable grocery store. Like I'm not gonna eat potatoes, but I will go there and definitely keep my grocery expenses low.
Yeah, like, I don't know, nothing wrong with like meal prepping and planning out your meals for the week, but like only eating potatoes. It's like, I've always heard like people say only top ramen, like just to save money, but I've never heard about only potatoes and ketchup from McDonald's. But that I think is definitely a little too extreme.
Yeah, my stomach would be a rock. I could not do that.
Potato diet.
Yeah. All right. So here's a few that I found on a Reddit thread. It was just a long thread about people being super frugal. So I'm just going to read down through them and we can get our thoughts on them. So this one says, years ago, I had an ex that didn't season his food because seasoning had bad calories to dollar ratio. I ate unseasoned rice and beans for 3 months because this dude insisted that buying salt was a waste of money. I ended up stealing a salt shaker from somewhere.
I mean, I'm a big spice guy. Like if you're not seasoned, it ain't seasoned, you know? And like I put a whole bunch of spices on like all my chicken, all my veggies, like everything. I can't imagine not seasoning something just to save money. But I definitely buy like the big jugs from Costco. It's like, if you look at like the ounce per dollar cost, you definitely save a lot there.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. You can even buy little ones at Walmart and it's still not that much money. I don't know. That's a little crazy. But a lot of these are crazy. So this one says, now I've heard this before. This one said, my old man used to turn off his Wi-Fi router every night to save untold amounts of electricity.
Untold amounts. Yeah. I mean, I've definitely heard of people like unplugging larger appliances overnight because it saves money. But I don't know about the Wi-Fi, because what if you know, like your phone needs to update overnight, or like I constantly have stuff running on my computer. Like I couldn't do the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I've heard of people like unplugging like most everything in their house when they leave to like save electricity. Now, I would love to know like what the actual savings is there. I'm not going to try this. I just feel like I feel like plugging things back in and things resetting would just really irk me. You know, times on things. Like I just could not do that every day. But hey, maybe it does save. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like there's like certain things in the kitchen I could unplug, and like maybe like, you know, like the TV console, like I have all of it on one power strip. Like, okay, I could probably do that. But like, it's also just like, am I really saving? Like, I'm probably like penny pinching at that point just to save like a couple bucks maybe on my utility bill. Right.
Yeah. You might save a little bit more than you would if you don't use salt. So there's that. Yeah. The next one says, my grandfather would walk to the local grocery store with a coffee bar in it every day. You got a complimentary sample of coffee because they were fancy and had different blends. We are talking not much bigger than a Dixie cup. He would go there and get his sample, never more than one sample, and walk home without buying anything.
Those like baristas definitely knew that this guy was a regular. They knew what he was up to for sure.
Absolutely. And you know, hey, he got a free cup of coffee. Now the coffee was the tiniest cup probably that was there, but you know, he didn't have to buy coffee. So and it got some exercise. So I'm going to say this is a win-win here.
Yeah, it's probably not much different than like me and my wife will go to like Costco on the weekends specifically so we can get the samples there. And like usually there's like some really good samples on. I think it's on like Sunday mornings. It's really good.
Yeah. All right. The next one says, using strips of fabric dipped in cornstarch and water mixture and applied to cracks and gaps in windows and doors in order to block drafts.
I feel like this is so much more complicated than like going to Home Depot and buying like a small tube of like caulking and then just, you know, like it takes like 1 minute to apply. Like, I've never heard of fabric dipped in cornstarch and water mixture. Although I feel like that's probably just the same, you know, it just seals it. But I don't know. That's a little, it's a little ghetto for me.
It made me think of, remember when we were in like elementary school and you would use like the cornstarch and water mixture with like paper, or it was like newspaper, and you would make
make paper mache.
Yeah. That's what immediately what I thought of. And I was thinking how like messy that gets. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm putting that on my windows, but hey, you know, if you do have a drafty window, like, and you have some of this fabric, then cornstarch, then maybe try it. I don't know. I'm going to pass.
I have actually heard that like sealing up all the cracks around your windows like can save you a huge amount, especially if you're in like a really cold area. So we might try some, maybe not the cornstarch, but we'll probably buy some caulking and just double check our windows.
Yeah. This one's good. I'm unable to try it, but flushing the toilet with gray water seems like something all buildings should be built around.
Now, what is gray water?
Yeah. So I actually looked this up too. So let's say you're like doing dishes in your sink and you have like a big, you know, like you have like the water in there, or my mom does it actually. Like she has like a big pot that she like does her dishes in, and then she'll have that water, and I don't know what she does with it, but they're saying take that water and flush the toilet with it. So you're not using fresh water every time to flush your toilet, because if you've ever had to flush a toilet when the water's not working, all you do is take like a bucket of water and it'll flush down completely. That's just how it works. So yeah, I mean, you could do this. It's a little crazy. I'm not saving my like hand washing water or my dishwater or anything, but you know, there's people out there.
I would do this way before I gave up spices for my food. So it's not like and like, you know, it's really cold here in Texas. And so we have to like drip our faucets. If it's going to go below freezing, and like, so we'll take that water and we'll put it into like our Brita filter. It's not like, it's not crazy, you know, you might as well.
Yeah. If my mom has a drip or something in her sink, she'll take it and then water her plants. Like,
oh, that's a good one too.
Yeah. But I get this. I would just be curious to know, like, if you tried this for a month, like how much water would you actually save? You know, especially like someone like me who works from home, like, you know, it's not like I'm gone during the day not using my bathroom. Like I'm using it all day. So I'm just curious, like what the cost savings would actually be. But I don't think I'm going to save my dirty water to do that. But.
Yeah, not like dishwater. There's definitely going to be like food chunks in there. That's
or like the water with like your like when you're mopping your floor, you could do something like that too. Which actually I do usually put that down there. So the next one says, I knew someone who would take ketchup packets from fast food places and refill their ketchup bottle at home with them. Innovative, yes. Odd, also yes. I couldn't decide if I should admire their dedication or stage an intervention for their condiment obsession.
I mean, okay, similar, but like if we go to like Little Caesars or Pizza My Heart and they give you like a ton of, they just always pile on the Parmesan cheese and their crushed red peppers.
Yeah.
Like we have tons of those in our drawers like all the time.
Yeah.
No shame.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like I'm not somebody who, my husband, if he just got extras, he would just throw them away. But I'm going to take the extras and keep them in the fridge. I'll take the extra napkins and they will go right in my car, like the middle console. Yeah, like anything like that. But I'm probably not going to take ketchup packets and like refill my ketchup bottle because.
Yeah, that's a little extreme.
Yeah, I mean, imagine the amount of ketchup in a huge bottle. It's just a little bit crazy to me.
Yeah, every time I go into a Starbucks, I take like a bunch of napkins to put in my car.
Oh, for sure. You can never use enough napkins for your car.
Yeah.
This one says, my mother used to iron gift wrap and keep it neatly filled in a shopping bag to reuse. We couldn't tear it when we unwrapped our gifts.
That's like the most boring like Christmas or birthdays to like neatly open your gifts. Like, that's terrible. I mean, I don't know. I feel like we bought our gift wrap from like the dollar store this year and like it's 99 cents and they have like decent gift wrap, you know, like I feel like at that point you're saving pennies just to. Now bags and like the
I'll say bags.
What is it, like the tissue paper that you put inside, the colored tissue paper?
Yeah,
that
sure.
I can kind of understand. But gift wrap, like the best part of a gift is like ripping it open, you know?
Yeah, and especially if you're buying from the dollar store. Now, this year I had to like get some last minute wrapping paper, and so I bought the expensive stuff that's like real thick. And it was $7 or $8 for like a bundle of it, but it's really high quality. Like I will say you probably could save it because it doesn't tear as easily as like the cheaper stuff does. So yeah, but I'm saving gift bags and anything that doesn't look like super like ripped apart or anything because bags are not cheap, you know?
No, they're not.
This next one says, I've seen my mother wash Ziploc bags and aluminum foil.
Oh, okay. If we've used a Ziploc bag for like non-food items, like I'll keep that.
Yep.
And like, I'll just make sure I know it's like a dirty Ziploc for like screws or something random, but like to wash them and aluminum foil, that one to me it's almost like keeping like saran wrap, you know?
I will say this is really good for the environment because you're reusing those things instead of putting plastic and foil, you know, back, you know, into the trash. But yeah, same thing. My mom is actually very frugal like this. So if we had like bread growing up, she would save her bread bags to like, then if she made like a loaf of banana bread or something, she'd put that in there. Yeah. So she would keep stuff like that. I'm not as good with that, but yeah, same thing. If I had like cookies in a bag, I might save it to like put something else like cookies in the future or something else in. But if it's gross, I'm not washing it out. I'm just going to throw it away, you know?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes when we'll go to Trader Joe's, we'll get like their fruits and veggies there and they give you like these little green compostable bags. But like we'll keep those and they're like perfect for like a small trash can, like in the bathroom. Sometimes we'll use those.
Yeah. The next one says, my sister is very frugal. How frugal? When she remarried after a divorce, she didn't want to buy a new wedding dress, so she wore her old wedding dress from her first wedding 10 years prior. Her second marriage is still going strong, 30 years, but wearing the same dresses for 2 different weddings still icks me out.
Yeah, I feel like that's like a bad omen for your wedding, you know, like
I
to
guess
wear.
It's not, though. She's on her second marriage.
30 years is not bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to, I would just go get like a cheap, even if I didn't want to wear if I wanted to be cheap about it, I'd probably just go to like Goodwill or something. I'm not going to wear the same wedding dress probably, but
yeah, wedding dress is a little extreme, but like I know for my wife, she's the oldest of 4 and she has 3, younger, they're all sisters. And like her prom dress went to all of her sisters and now they're like in their 20s, but like they've all worn like the same prom dresses. And luckily they're a few years apart. So no one really noticed, but that's probably as far as I would take it.
Yeah, same. Okay, so this last one here, this was the good one to finish up with. It says, I've seen some zero waste and frugal folks mention the family cloth, which is a washable, reusable cloth you use to wipe instead of toilet paper. As much as I try to be frugal and sustainable, I kind of hope this is an urban legend. I realize it's probably comparable to cloth diapers and cloth menstrual pads, which I'm on board with, but the family cloth idea totally grosses me out.
I mean, we use like reusable cloth, like napkins for our kitchen, but like that, I'm like, I'd rather just rip a paper towel.
Yeah.
But
right.
I don't even know if I would do like cloth diapers. Like,
no. Oh, no.
Some babies they have like explosive diarrhea, and to think of washing that, you got to wipe it off with your hands at some point. Like it's
And like putting that in your own, my thing is like you're washing your clothes with this stuff in your own. Maybe if you had a separate washer and dryer where you're like constantly washing that stuff, because I would assume you're washing constantly.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I know it's better for the environment, but like, are you saving money because you're literally washing stuff all the time? You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they're only wearing diapers for a few years. Like, I feel like you might as well just suck it up and buy the diapers, because the reusable cloths, I don't know, that's a little much to me. All right, taking a quick break from today's episode, Lauren and I have some exciting news we'd like to share with you. If you're feeling stuck with your finances and don't know where to start, we have you covered with our one-on-one financial coaching.
These are no strings attached coaching sessions that you can sign up for today. No ongoing commitment. You simply book a session whenever you need one.
Each call is 90 minutes, and by the end of it, you'll have a clear budget to work with and a solid plan to start paying off your debt. Plus, we'll make sure you walk away with some awesome tools to keep you on track, including our budget dashboard and expense tracker, as well as our debt payoff optimizer.
And the best part, you'll get to work with both of us on the call. Together, we'll help you develop the best possible strategy forward, answer your questions, and make sure you feel confident about managing your money.
So if you're ready to get a handle on your budget and kickstart your financial journey forward, check out the link in the show notes to book your first session.
We can't wait to get started with you. Now, back to the episode.
Okay, switching gears here for the next one, we're talking about gambling addiction. So fair warning, I know it could be a touchy subject for some people, but let's dive into this first one.
Part 3 of my mom's raging gambling addiction. When I was 8, I sprained my ankle after flipping off of a trampoline. And when I went to the ER and they asked where my mom was, she refused to pick up her phone. And when she did, she told me to tell them that she was 2 hours away at the casino. One time my mom left the casino on Christmas Eve and left me and my cousins home alone. We did not see her until after New Year's. My fridge was literally always empty for 3 years of my life, except for casino carryout food, which I didn't mind because sometimes there was lobster and filet mignon. She would miss soccer games, cheer meets, and choir concerts and tell me it was because she had to work. But when I logged into her Apple ID and checked her location, she was always at the casino. Sometimes when our electricity and heat bill wasn't paid because she was always at the casino, we would go stay at free 5-star hotels at the casino because she was always at the casino and had a lot of points.
I feel like this is the side of gambling that doesn't get as much attention.
Yes.
Is like we know like the how much like gambling addictions in particular can ruin a person's finances, but like it also has like ripple effects that go so much further out. Like, you know, if your mom or a sibling or someone that you know like that you're close to has a gambling addiction, like it's so terrible to see like how it affects everyone else, not just the person with the addiction, you know?
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought about whenever I looked at this video. I was like, yeah, like you're seeing the people who lose a ton of money and they're, you know, very depressed most of the time at the end of their gambling journeys, you know, if they can get off of that path. And you're seeing that part of it, but you're not seeing the different people that are hurt by this, you know, path of destruction, which is, you know, gambling addictions. But, yeah, I felt really bad for this girl because it seems like her whole life, like this addiction to gambling was just constantly being, you know, put in front of her and her siblings and her cousins. So really sad to me.
Yeah, and I feel like gambling addictions don't get as much like attention as like someone who's has an alcohol addiction or substance abuse or something, because those ones have like quickly do those turn into like terrible situations. But I feel like gambling, it's just like you're just off into some place and like the finances are being ruined, but like the person is still like intact and they can probably still show up to work, probably still do normal things. But like with other addictions, like it's a lot more visible on the person. And I feel like this one can go hidden for a lot longer. Yeah.
I was just going to say that, like, you can show up to work, you can be a very intelligent, smart human being. But you're not like, you know, drug addicted or, you know, missing work and stuff like that. Like it's, you know, under the influence, you know, like you wouldn't know that. You can definitely hide it. Now, probably this mom was missing work and stuff because if she's going to the casino for days at a time, there's the issue there. Yeah. Now, go ahead. If you want to say something else.
I was just going to say, like, I feel like the best thing you could do, whether it's like gambling or alcohol or even any sort of drugs, like you just got to distance yourself from that person. But I know that this situation in particular, it's so hard to, because like if you're a little kid and like maybe you don't have any other extended family, like the only other option is for like the state to come and take you, and that's not a great option either, you know. So that's such a tough situation. But what were you gonna say?
Yeah, I mean, and it's like I read a lot of situations about like spouses that ended up leaving with the kids or something, but when it's the parent in that situation, obviously like you're stuck in that situation, which is very, very sad to me. Now I actually also found a thread on Reddit of casino workers that share the saddest things that they've witnessed working in the casino that's gambling related. So let's walk through these. So this one says, a friend of mine used to work at the daycare in a casino, a daycare. They served them meals and had a snack they could buy. There was one kid that she made a name tag for in advance because he was there so much all day.
Oh, man.
That is so sad that even exists, that's how far we've come and that we have to have daycares and casinos.
I feel like gambling addictions are so much more on the rise now, because especially with like the sports betting apps, like all the sports betting apps that are coming out, like I think it was like last year, like people bet billions of dollars on sports betting apps and they lose all the time. Like you're almost never a winner when you're betting, like when you're gambling, like the house always wins. And whether you make some money from it, like you're just going to come back and try to chase that. And that's where they really get you, is like the repeated showing up just to chase that once in like 1 in every 10 or 1 in every 20 times that you actually make some money out of it, you know?
Mm-hmm. This next one says, like 15 years ago, my husband was a bar porter at a casino. He would bust his card around for everyone in the middle of the night and get off in the morning. He says when he would come back the next evening, some people playing the slots would still be there from the previous night.
Oh,
they would wear diapers. They didn't have to leave their machine.
Oh,
I did not know that was a thing. I did not know that's like daycare is one thing. Wearing a diaper so you don't have to leave that's crazy. I did not know that.
Yeah, I mean, casinos purposely either have no windows or their windows are so dark you can't even tell what time it is, because the goal is to get you to stay there as long as you possibly can. And I'm not surprised that people are staying there like overnight, sitting in the same spot. And I feel like gambling, like the slot machines is like probably the most boring form of gambling. You know, like I've been to Vegas, I play blackjack, like it's entertaining, right? It's fun, but like you're just sitting there pulling a lever and hoping that the numbers pop up or the symbols pop up that match. You know, that's crazy.
Yeah. Do you gamble at all? Like, do you like to do that? Like, I have some friends that like to go to the casino, but
yeah, like 2 years ago, my wife and I went to Vegas for her birthday. And she had never gambled before, like at all. And like, I've always played like my parents used to do like poker night where we would have just some uncles and some friends over and they would just play poker in the garage or something. Right. Yeah. And like that I thought it was always fun. And I played as I got older with them. Yeah. But like we went to Vegas and she had never gambled at like an actual table. And so we played blackjack or 21. Yeah. And she actually won like a couple $100. My dad gave her like $50 and she just, I think she turned it to like $150 or something. Yeah. And she's like, I'm never gambling again. I'm like, that's fine.
Yeah. I'll go. My friend loves to go and we do the slots. Like it's not really like a slot machine anymore. They're just like buttons, you know, the Mayan Chief, like those ones with like all the pictures and it's just like, you know, it's just so loud and it's a production, but I will take like $40 and be like, I know I'm not going to get this back. So like, whatever, but I won't do any more than that. Now my husband, he loves to play craps and he's actually really good at it. I've seen him win like hundreds of dollars on craps. So yeah, he's really, really good at it. Now we don't go very often, but if we do, like he'll play and then he knows when it's time to like be done and we're out, you know, but I was just curious.
Yeah. I feel like that's the difference between someone who can gamble and have fun and someone who's addicted is like you set a limit and like you're cool if you lose it. Right. It's like if I'm going out to drink tonight, it's like, cool, here's my $200 or $100 or whatever it is, you know? Yeah. And if I spend it all, I spend it all. And the same thing with gambling, you know, like you just got to set the money aside. And once you hit your limit, like you're done, you know, otherwise that's when it turns into like an addiction, you know?
Yeah, for sure. This one says, I've worked in casinos for over a decade and the saddest thing I routinely see is young children standing around waiting for their parents to finish gambling. Like we already talked about in the last situation, like this is super sad. We track down the parents and make them leave, but they always come back. And then it says, this next one says, calling the police due to a child locked in a hot car is a near daily occurrence.
Jeez.
Probably those ones don't have daycares, so they have to leave them in the car.
Yeah, maybe a daycare would be better there, but man.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Just like I feel like casinos like shouldn't be a place where kids go to, because like most of the time like you can smoke inside of a casino and that's one thing, but like just exposing kids to things that are people easily get addicted to so early is just, it's terrible, you know, and leaving them in these situations where they're either wandering around a casino or stuck in a car or even left in a hotel room by themselves. Like it's just that's not the most productive way that you should be spending time with your kid, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree. And then a lot of these say, you know, old people shitting on the floor so they don't have to go far from their slot machine, old people dying at their machines, a grown man in a full-on toddler tantrum laying on the ground, flailing legs and arms because he got cut off at the bar, stuff like that. It's just, I don't know. This is wild. Now, there are a bunch of these, Nick, that I did not include in here, and I'm talking a lot, talked about what happens whenever you lose a lot of money and you're severely depressed, and a lot of situations like that where people were found dead, so which I didn't really want to touch on here because I'm trying to keep this light and fun, but all of this to say it doesn't end in a good place for gambling addiction, unfortunately.
No, and it's honestly not worth it. Like if you really want to like gamble and play games like that, like get some friends together. Don't even bet money on it. Bet like the people who lose have to pay for the next night out or something. Like something like that.
Yeah.
Going to the casinos and gambling regularly is just it quickly turns into an addiction that's so hard to break because you're constantly like it's the same with like alcohol and drugs. Like you're just chasing that high that you're never going to get it again. And you're always going to be chasing it, and that's how people end up in these situations that are just irreversible,
Yeah, doing the research for this episode, like that was like probably the worst one I looked at was just like how destructive this addiction is to the person. Because like I said, I saw many, many people who did not make it out from the other side of the addiction. And then like the families that were, in the path of this as well. It's just destruction. I think it's a lot more common than we think these days, especially like you said, with all of sports betting and stuff, and you can do it right from your phone. You don't have to go to a casino anymore. You know what I mean? You can do it from your phone, do it from your computer. Oof. It makes me really sad. I'm glad I've never got wrapped in anything like that, but seems hard to get out of too.
Yeah, that's so tough. But why don't we move on to maybe a lighter note? So this one is about extreme or crazy side hustles. So this person tried to Lyft for a day to see how much money he can make. So let's give it a watch.
After not being able to think of a new side hustle this week, I think today I'm going to try to make $100 in one day on Lyft. Again, I think I can make $100 in 4 hours on Lyft today. I've been online for a couple minutes already, haven't gotten a ride yet, but I'm sure that first ride will be coming here pretty soon. Before I can even start reading good, I got another ride for $6. These little orders today are gonna be the death of me. You gotta do what you gotta do. I've been out here for 3 hours and I think I gotta call it. I'm up to about $35 for the day, but it's just so slow today that it's not really worth it for me to sit out here for $10, $11 an hour. Maybe I'm just out here on the wrong day. I can't say that today was a good day out here. It is slow, but hey, it be like that sometimes. You gotta take your wins with your losses.
Oh man, that was a good
that
day.
one's definitely a loss.
Yeah. I mean, I think you can make good money doing like Uber and Lyft and stuff, but I think you have to do it when it's like surging. My sister actually does it. She has like a minivan, so she'll do like Uber XL on like college football days, in like the town she lives in, because it's like a pretty big college team. And she makes great money. She'll go out like when the kids are in bed, like later in the night, and go for like 4 hours, and like she makes pretty good money doing it. But yeah, I'm not doing it if it's just like during the day and it's just like you're making $6. Like, is that even worth it? What you're going to pay for gas? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, this person said he made $35 in 3 hours. That's like $11 an hour. Like you're paying taxes on top of that, the maintenance on your car, like the added wear and tear, the gas, like you're walking away with dollars an hour. And it's, I don't know. I feel like a few years ago, it really used to be worth it. Like Uber and DoorDash and all those things really used to be worth it. And then now they've added so many things like your insurance. You have to have special insurance now to do it because your regular insurance won't cover it because you're driving consistently for work. Like, I don't think it's as worth it as it used to be. And like, I mean, this is one side of like tipping culture going one way is like people definitely tip less now, and Uber and DoorDash, it's the same deal there. Like, it's not just like your coffee barista or whatever. Yeah. It's people aren't tipping as much. And that, I know for a lot of these services, that was the big money maker because you keep all of your tips versus like the cost for the ride you split with the app.
Yeah. I don't know if you watch Superbad on Netflix, but it's all about like the creation of Uber and stuff. But yeah, a lot of people, they used to make really good money back in the day. But of course, I don't know how all that stuff goes, but yeah, they don't make nearly as much as they used to. So it's not always worth it. But like I said, if you can get into like a surging type situation, or it's like a hot type, like, I don't know if you could, I think people do it as their full-time job, but like you'd probably have to be like in the evenings or like rush hour time to make anything. And you're probably going to have to be near like, I would assume like a city, like, I don't know. You could do it
yeah, unless you're in like a city or like a college, especially like one that has a college around it. Like that's because college kids are always door dashing
Yep.
food. They're always taking
Yep.
Ubers and stuff like that. I think can be worth. I don't know about a full-time job though. Like I feel like the amount you're spending on your car is just, it's not, I don't know if it's as worth it as it used to be a few years ago.
Yeah, agreed.
Let's go into the next one.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a sperm donor.
Okay. How much do you make doing that?
It's 120 per donation, and I go twice a week. Sometimes they have bonuses where I made thousands in a month before, like I made 3,000 one month. And I just drive over, do the deed, and then leave.
So you're a jizz boy.
Yeah, I've been doing it for 3 years. I've probably donated at least 200 to 250 times, and each donation can have about 5 kids. So that's probably 1,000 kids.
Why are we doing that? We're just to make money? You just like go to a room?
Yeah, pull up the magazine with the photos, whatever. Yeah, whatever.
Interesting. I mean, you're bringing home more for being a jizz boy than DoorDash.
Yeah.
That's a little extreme.
Yeah.
I mean, I like how he calls it like, yeah, you make $120 per donation, like to downplay what he's doing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, he's got a lot of kids out there. That's creative, but
Yeah.
oh man. And they can
I mean,
reach
like-
out to him when they're 18 and he signed for that. I mean,
yeah.
that's great, but you might have like a lot of people calling you in like 20
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of like donating blood and plasma, like
Yeah.
plasma in particular, you can
Sure.
get paid for.
Yeah.
But like sperm donations, I don't know. I mean, to each their own, but that's definitely not for me.
Oh my gosh. No, not for me either, obviously.
I think you can like donate eggs though. Is that? I think that's
I
a
don't-
thing, right?
No, maybe. I don't
I mean, you can freeze your eggs, so
Yeah,
like
you
I feel
can.
like
Yeah, maybe you can, but I was thinking like I guess you could I guess you could like an embryo, and then it would be like an embryo, and then they would implant that into somebody. I guess, yeah, sure. I'm not doing that though.
yeah. When I was an RA, one of our supervisors for the RAs, his wife was like her job, like she was a surrogate. I think that's what it's called,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Where like she would,
Yeah.
have the baby for another
Yeah.
couple,
Uh-huh.
and like I just couldn't wrap my head around that. Like,
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Like I mean, no, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome to provide that for someone.
Yeah.
But I couldn't imagine being in that relationship where
Yeah.
like your wife or your partner, whatever, is a surrogate for someone else. It's like
Yeah.
the emotional attachment you would
Yeah.
develop like to that, just like the whole experience is just, I don't know. That's wild.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's a crazy side hustle there. Wonder how long he's gonna keep that going.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. So in the next one, we're talking about bad money advice. And so we have a few videos here, but let's jump into the first one.
I am by no means a financial expert, so take this with a grain of salt. But I recently saw a TikTok where a guy said, the reason I'm broke isn't because of the little purchases every day, like my coffee shop runs, or the food, or the door dashes. It was because of the big purchases, like the rent I couldn't afford, the car I already couldn't afford, the credit cards. And so immediately I turned to myself and I was like, babes, we are good. We are good. You're safe.
As she's clearly drinking like a coffee she bought from like a coffee shop.
I mean, I get what she's saying. I mean, whoever said this though, but like, yeah, it is those bigger things, but I also think it's like your daily habits, like adding up, like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's both, right? Like
Yep.
if you get into an apartment you can't afford, obviously that's like a huge like hole that you're pouring money into. But like,
Yeah.
like the amount of people who do, I think it's something like $27 a day or it's like some small amount that I think it's around $27 that if you spend that every single day, you've wasted $10,000
Yeah.
a year. And I feel like it's so easy, like, especially if you're working in a job where the culture is like, hey, we get our coffee in the mornings and we show up to work with them. And then, oh, for lunch, we're all going to DoorDash or go out to eat or something. Like, I feel like that's so common to where it's so easy to spend $27 a day if you're paying for those things every single day that I don't know. I hear what she's saying. And it's definitely big purchases that can cause like huge swings in your finances, but the little ones will sneak up on you.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, I feel like even last year, I remember like looking at all my expenses, and I made a point to myself that like I am not doing that again, because I would just have like a miscellaneous category and just kind of catch all, and I found it just kept getting bigger and bigger, like especially with moving and stuff, like a lot of little purchases here and there. But yeah, it's always like the $40 you got to spend at Target, and then you have to go like get something else for like something some sort of event you're going to, and then it's just like before you know it, it's just like a couple $100, and you're like, okay, that's when it starts adding up, is when you're doing that all the time, and then you got that coming out each month, and then it does become a bigger issue.
Yeah, I feel like with credit card debt in particular, like that's what I see is like little purchases that become just like lifestyle habits, like going out for the coffee every single morning, which look, I'm not someone who's against getting coffee, but like if you're a credit card debt, like, yeah, you can make your coffee at home. Like it's no big deal, you know? Okay, let's move on to our last video for the day.
I just took out a loan for basic needs and food. Like needs / food. I have never in my life had to take out a loan for the things that my home needs. I said, there's no way. I cannot do this. I need to have a little bit more for gas and I need to have enough food. So Affirm has, its thing with Sam's Club. I was like, fuck it. Let's just take out a loan for our basic needs. This is not okay. This is not okay. We're fucked.
Yeah, that's tough. And like, when you're backed up into a corner like that, and then you have like what seems like a saving grace of like, here's this loan you can take out, and like the terms are not favorable, but you know it's going to get you through the month. Like same with credit cards, right? Like you can put it on the credit card, and it's going to deal with now. It's going to handle the situation now, and you can deal with it later.
Yeah, but this is how you get sucked into a cycle, because now you have a payment, an extra payment to pay off that loan, which is what you use to pay off or use to pay for like your necessities. So what's going to happen next month when you need the same necessities and things haven't changed? Like, are you going to do it again? I don't know. It's a messy cycle with people. And I know people are struggling just like the way that everything's like increased and stuff, but I don't know. It's hard for sure.
Yeah, I mean, on the other side of that, like at the same time, like I also know like the vast majority of people, especially Americans, like don't budget either.
100%.
They don't track their spending. Yeah. And so it's like, it's both sides of that, right? Like costs have gone up dramatically in the last few years. Yeah. Like it is harder now. Like income hasn't risen at the same level as costs, but I also know people are not fully taking control of their income by creating a budget, by tracking all their spending, right? Like being very methodical with it. And like, dude, there's so many areas for things to fall between the cracks where if you're not really paying attention to those, like that's where the struggle becomes so much harder, because you feel like life's really crushing you, but it's a lot of the little choices like we talked about earlier, like those can make the world of a difference.
Yep. And I know there's people out there that really do struggle just to meet their basic needs. I'm not downplaying that, but the first thing whenever she started talking, I'm thinking, I'd love to see your bank statement just to see like where your money's actually going. Is it just for food and like your bills, like your utilities and stuff? Like, is there extra things here and there? Like, I'm just really curious. And I heard something. So after Black Friday sales and stuff, like they obviously had the numbers stuff and stuff rolling in. So a lot of people are talking about like the cost of eggs and how they can't afford groceries and stuff. But this year, we again broke a record for Black Friday sales. So why is that still happening? Why are we buying all this stuff on Black Friday, but we can't afford our groceries? You know what I mean? So it makes you question things like that, like what's really going in and out of people's wallets. Like, I'm not trying to downplay it. I understand it's very tough for some people, but like you said, it's kind of the American way to just kind of like let your money come in and out, and you don't really know where it's going. And until you do, you're pretty surprised by where it's going,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like you said, like Black Friday holiday shopping, that's on a rise. Like gambling, but sports betting is like one of the fastest growing betting markets like in the world today, right? Like all of these things where people are throwing away money doing things, like you see those numbers, and then you also hear the real stories, right? Like not to downplay them at all, real stories of people struggling, and it's like both of those things are true, but like I guarantee you, for anyone struggling, like there is waste that can be cut out, that can be put towards, so that you can actually live a life that's a little less stressful, right? That could be going towards things like paying off credit card debt or building up an emergency fund. Because once you get ahead, that's when those little purchases start to matter less and less. But like when you're down in the hole, right? You're at a negative net worth because of your credit card debt or whatever. Those little purchases make all the difference in my eyes. Yeah.
And kind of a side note to this whole thing, like kind of getting off topic, but I saw a video the other day about America's like overconsumption problem and how like so many Americans have like 40 Stanley mugs and like all this stuff. And like, we just love purchasing stuff. We love TJ Maxx and Home Goods and all that junk you can get in there, and I'm like, I don't know, this all feeds into it too. It's just like the problem we have in this country. And an international person messaged me back and was like, yeah, I hate to say this, but that's very true about America. And I was like, sometimes I'm embarrassed to be an American for that reason. But it just got me thinking about that. Cause like, are we purchasing things that are like good for us? Or is it just like, because we want to go out and have fun and get another Stanley Cup? You know what I mean? So yeah.
Shopping's another one of those things like gambling, like alcohol, that, like you can easily become addicted to, because it's not so much the thing you're doing. It's just, it's the mental high you get from doing it. That's what people chase.
Absolutely.
And when you go and you buy something new, right? Like that newness feels so good until it wears off like 2 days later. Right. And then you're like left wondering, why did I buy this thing? But
yeah, that's one thing I never really had a shopping problem or anything like that. But when I started my debt-free journey, like I kind of fell into like minimalism and like realized that like life is so much more than just like the stuff you're bringing in, the clothes you wear and everything like that. So I really started focusing on the experiences in life and people rather than like the material possessions. Ever since that clicked in my brain, I've been so good with like, I don't have a Stanley mug. I don't care about that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like I can drink my water out of this cup. It's the same thing, you know? So when I disconnected all of that, that's whenever like my money situation, like skyrocketed, you know?
yeah. I mean, I like nice things, but I also am okay with those nice things being from cheap brands. Like we shop at Marshall's all the time and Ross, like there's so much stuff that's discounted there. It's so much cheaper to shop there. And like, I have zero shame about it. Or like all my clothes are from like Target and Costco, right? And Ross, right? Like it looks nice if you find the right stuff, and like it's a fraction of the cost. But like I was talking to someone on Instagram about this, how like when my wife and I, like when we first started dating, this was years ago, like I was definitely more of the spender and she's always been a saver. And like the nice thing is we've balanced each other out, and I feel like, you know, oftentimes people will attract like their opposite to each other. And I think the goal is to balance each other out, right? Because I mean, being a saver is amazing, but I do think you need to spend a little money on yourself once you're in a good position. But I feel like really developed an appreciation and like an excitement for becoming a saver, right? Like I know I'm still a spender at heart. Like if I find an excuse to spend money, like I will indulge, but I love saving now, right? And so I think you can find ways to like balance yourselves out.
Yeah, agreed.
Cool. Well, that ends today's episode, but just one simple favor. If you found some value out of it, if you laughed at any of these videos, then please, the best way you can help us grow is by sharing this video with a friend.
Yeah. And if you want to have your money question answered on the show, you can visit our website, justanothermoneypodcast.com, and click the submit a question button. And don't forget to join us for another episode of Just Another Money Podcast. The information, opinions, and recommendations provided on this podcast are for entertainment purposes only and do not constitute professional financial advice. Any financial decisions you make based on the content of this podcast are your responsibility. We strongly recommend consulting with a licensed financial advisor or other qualified professional before making any significant financial decisions. By listening to this podcast, you acknowledge that we are not liable for any financial outcomes.